Hello everyone, this is Sydney Wilbeck again, and this is my presentation regarding the fiscal plan for the Brookfield R3 Athletics and Activities Department. I have chosen a combination-based budget for several reasons. For one, although I am not exactly sure what the current budget plan is, I would have to guess that this is what we are doing. Additionally, it is the most common budget type, and I don't think that that is by coincidence. For many reasons, I do think that this type of budget works for lots of different schools for lots of different reasons. Now, talking about Brookfield specifically, I think it works because it is appropriate for a school our size. Now, we're a very small school in terms of, generally speaking. However, I understand that we are not small compared to other schools. People in bigger cities might think our school is tiny. However, Brookfield is the largest school in our county of Linn County. We average about 70 to 80 to 90 students per graduating class, for example, and lots of other schools in our county. Some drop to 40 and 50, some drop to 20 and 30. There are schools small enough in our district that have single digit graduating classes. So, for these reasons, I think a combination budget fits a school our size. Because lastly, we also have a strong community presence. I will say that our community is extremely, extremely supportive of our school and our athletics and activities department, and their help, whether it be financially or in other ways, has just been tremendously helpful in the past several years. And I think we would be crazy not to utilize this help. Something I would like to hit very hard on in terms of program objectives and controlling costs, if I were making this presentation for a new budget, is equity. Now, I think people get the words equity and being equal and equality confused. They are not synonymous. They are not meant to be synonymous, and this is where this becomes important. Without going into too much detail, sometimes certain teams are viewed as more important or better or more valued than other teams in any given school district. Now, is this right? Absolutely not. But I think sometimes people don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. And I think there are lots of examples in both scenarios. Now, here is where I will give an example of sorts. Sometimes in small schools, football can be seen as the top of the list. Football matters and nothing else matters. And for certain reasons, I do understand that. I have witnessed examples of that. Again, I won't go into specifics, it's not necessary. But I have also witnessed people making these accusations in ways that are not true. One example, a hypothetical example, not something that really happened, would be a football uniform versus a golf uniform. Now, someone talking about equality might say, every time the football team gets new uniforms, the golf team should get new uniforms. Is that really necessary? Something that is equitable would be to allow each team to get uniforms when they have worn out. And realistically, a football uniform is going to wear out tremendously faster than a golf uniform. Last time I checked, nobody's tackling at a golf course. I hope they're not. So, in those situations, I think people are thinking more in terms of equality when we really need to be thinking in terms of equity. But I will stick with the fact that it does need to be equitable in all situations. So when we're making new purchases, they need to be made within reason. Let's take the boys and girls basketball teams, for example. If the district or department is going to pay for warm-ups, if the boys are getting warm-ups every 2 years, the girls should also get warm-ups every 2 years. It shouldn't be, oh, the boys team gets new warm-ups every single season and the girls team gets new warm-ups every 5 years. This is not equitable, and any school doing that, which I will say our school is not doing that. Again, that was a hypothetical example, but anyone who is running their program that way is really not reaching equity. And to me, that is something that would be a core objective of the program if I were in charge. Moving on to things such as donations, community support, and seeking outside funding. As I mentioned before, we are lucky enough in Brookfield and at the Brookfield R3 School District to have tremendous community support. You know, there are businesses, groups of people, clubs, individuals in our community, and so much more who will dedicate their time and money and resources to help us. Now, I think something very important to consider here is when our school spends money at their businesses, they are more willing to give discounted prices or to possibly even donate to the school. You know, if we moving on to spreading the love, I'm going to kind of combine these points because I think it just makes more sense that way. Let's take two businesses in Brookfield who I won't say the names of. They are very similar businesses that print clothing. They print things, designs on clothing. If our school district only ever utilized one of them, the other one would probably not be very happy. They would not be supportive of our school, and they would not be willing to give donations and support us. However, since we do a pretty good job of utilizing both of them, we have very good relationships with both of these businesses, and both of them will give us discounts, will come to our games, will support us, will give us money. They will do all of these things if we quote unquote spread the love and spend money in both places, and it circles back around. In a small community, things can get quote unquote political when it comes to stuff like that. So if you can stay more neutral and kind of spread the pot of money to all of the businesses, local businesses or individuals or groups or whatever that are supporting you, it just creates a much better environment for everyone involved. Lastly, in terms of using a combination budget, you still want to focus on program expansion, which can be combined with some fundraising. Here, teams and coaches can have some autonomy in what that looks like for each team. It would not necessarily have to be the same thing for every team. It certainly could be that way if each group of coaches was on the same page and had the same sort of opinions, or someone had a really good idea. But each team can certainly have their own strategy of fundraising in terms of program expansion as well if they wanted to combine those two things. I will give a real life example of this because I am currently a part of it right now. I am one of the assistant coaches on the girls' side for high school basketball at Brookfield, and we have a center court club, which is made up of us coaches and some school personnel, community people, and that sort of thing. We work towards program expansion and fundraising. What can we do to make our team better? Something that they did last year that they saw a lot of success with was a youth basketball tournament for boys and girls. So we're going to do it again this year. We have coming up a fifth and sixth grade girls and fifth and sixth grade boys tournament, followed by a seventh and eighth grade girls and seventh and eighth grade boys tournament. So we are consecutively working on raising money for our teams and also just expanding the knowledge of, hey, these are your high school teams. Here are the kids that play on them. Here are the coaches. And hey, we want to see you. We care about you. We love that you're playing basketball and we want you to stick with it. So that's just one great example of how you can combine those two things in a combination based budget.